セガが世界に向けて新しく発信していくブランドです。
ドリームキャストのシンボルマーク、それは宇宙の広がりと人間の無限のエネルギーをイメージしたものなんだ。みんなもう知ってると思うけど、気になる性能は CPU、グラフィック、サウンド、OS と世界でもトップクラスのメーカーと業務提携することによって現在考えられる中で世界最強性能となっている。
Chapter 1: How it started, how it ended. The team led by Hideki Seto began developing the Dreamcast in 1997, in contrast to the expensive hardware of the unsuccessful Saturn. The Dreamcast was designed to reduce costs with off-the-shelf components, including a Hitachi CH4C PU and a NEC Power VR2 GPU. Sega used the GD-ROM disc format to avoid the expense of DVD licensing. To speed game development, the console could run a custom version of Windows CE for easier PC game porting, and shared hardware with Sega's Naomi system broad, enabling authentic arcade game conversions. The Dreamcast was the first console to include a built-in modular modem for internet access and online play. Though its Japanese release was beset by supply problems, the Dreamcast had a successful US launch, backed by a large marketing campaign. However, sales steadily declined as Sony built anticipation for the PlayStation 2. Dreamcast sales did not meet Sega's expectations, and attempts to renew interest through price cuts caused significant financial losses. After a change in leadership, Sega discontinued the Dreamcast on March 31st, 2001. Withdrew from the console business and restructured itself as a third-party developer. A total of 9.13 million Dreamcast units were sold worldwide, and over 600 games were produced. Chapter 2: Competition. The Dreamcast was released in 1999. Following that was the PlayStation 2 in 2000, and then the following year in 2001 there was the original Xbox and Nintendo GameCube. But by 2001 it was too late and the Dreamcast was discontinued. All these gaming systems on the horizon to be released after the Dreamcast played a massive role into why the Dreamcast didn't sell the greatest. However, this doesn't mean the Dreamcast isn't an underrated masterpiece, because there's a lot of things that I got right that people didn't really notice because the PlayStation 2 mostly took over the entire spotlight.
This NFL game is so sophisticated with its play-by-play that it's like watching a real game.
I guess they did over 10,000 lines, so you really should never hear them repeat. And it's just hilarious because if you're doing bad, they will rip on you. And it's just like, it's so cruelty.
Chapter 3: The Games. The library of Dreamcast was overall pretty good, with the obvious Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, the exclusive at the time Resident Evil Code Veronica, Seaman, Crazy Taxi, and Worms Armageddon. The list goes on for ages, but we have to move on. The Dreamcast actually had a really good library that's still talked about today for what it did good on, but that's about it for Chapter 3. Chapter 4: The console itself. Here we have the actual Sega Dreamcast, which, to me, this is one of the greatest looking systems of all time. There's absolutely no complaints I have with the system at all, so dive right into it. Obviously you have your power button, you have your disc button, and if we come around over to the back, you have your obvious plugs, and it comes with a LAN cable adapter. Now, I don't know if that's something you had to buy separately. My Sega Dreamcast actually came with that, so I'm not sure if every Sega Dreamcast comes with this. Comes with the port, but yeah, your 4 controller ports, which something like the PlayStation 2, it came with 2 controller ports, but the GameCube had 4 controller ports. Xbox had 4 controller ports, so yeah, everybody almost had 4 controller ports, and then when we moved over to the next generation, there wasn't a need for controller ports anymore. Okay, so back on the LAN cable. I know the PlayStation 2 doesn't have one, and I know the GameCube doesn't have one, but I'm pretty sure the GameCube, there is an adapter you can buy kind of like this. I know you can remove it on the Dreamcast, so that makes me think it's a separate thing, so I don't really know. PlayStation 2, I'm unsure if there's one you can buy for it. And then, yeah, Sega Dreamcast, amazing looking system. While we're at it, let's take a look at the Sega Dreamcast controller. This is definitely one of the most unique video game controllers of all time, and I actually absolutely love this controller, even though of its complex design. It's actually really comfortable when you get to hold it. It has 2 memory packs up here, and you insert them and you get a little screen right here, and it is absolutely cool. Similar to how the PlayStation 1 it had screens for their memory cards, so that was really cool. But this is actually in your controller, so I love that. Yeah, my controller's a little yellow, but... And since it's a video about the Dreamcast, let's take a look at that intro. Amazing startup. And here we are on the Dreamcast interface. It is an amazing interface. It gets the job done easily. You got your play section, your file section, music section, and settings, and that's basically all you need. And one last thing on the interface, we just talk about the sound effects. Sound effects are absolutely amazing on the Dreamcast. Chapter 5. In conclusion. In conclusion, despite the Dreamcast not performing how Sega wanted it to perform, it's still very much talked about today. The modding community absolutely loves the Dreamcast, adding a mod for the Dreamcast by putting a SD card slot in the Dreamcast, allowing games to be played via save games on the card.